I'm Andrea, and my daughter Ariel got diagnosed at age 8, and she's now 16, soon to be 17, which I can't believe. So she's basically half her life right now with diabetes. And Ariel has diabetes, but my husband and I, we feel we all work as a team for diabetes, and we try to work together to make her life the best and the healthiest it can be. So when she got diagnosed, obviously we were doing the MDI, and I think there was one time when I sent her off to school, and I don't remember if I had either given her long-acting insulin or I might have given her too much, and it completely freaked me out. Anyway, so then you start writing things down and you take more account of what you're doing, because in the morning it's like breakfast, it's carb this, do this, so you need your long acting insulin first, and then so anyway, and it was a lot of I was at her school a lot to make sure when she was just newly diagnosed, I wanted to make it seamless for her as possible. So and they did have nurses in the school because we were in the States at the time. Anyway, so fast forward, we came back to Toronto and she got put on a pump. Now we got to choose a pump. Unfortunately, I think Tandem was around, but there was no such thing as a loop. She really wanted to be, she didn't want the tubes. She was very, very active. And she did a lot of swimming, especially when we were in Florida or when we were traveling away, and just the thought of having to connect and disconnect and all that stuff. So we definitely looked at the Omnipod, and that's the end. We ended up choosing the Omnipod mostly, I would say, because of the tubing. And when the person came over to do her little test thing, I got to wear it too for a couple days and kind of see what it was like to wear a pump and to bolus and all that stuff. The pump, I will say, there is definitely a learning curve. Like, it's not just taking your long-acting insulin and then your boluses along the day for food. But the long-acting insulin gets replaced by the basal. So basal just means long-acting insulin, so it's always there. And the one thing that I really, really liked about that is that I found that if she was going low, I could suspend that basal or long-acting insulin so she wouldn't get it. You can't obviously suspend what you've already given as far as a bolus for a meal, but you could cut that off, and you could cut it off for half an hour, or whatever. So that was really, really helpful when she would have lows, especially like a really bad low. Going through, like, when you were asking us like tech questions and like the pros and the cons, I'm just about to change or get my daughter to change her insulin to carb ratio for different times of the day. So I'm noticing a pattern on her Dexcom that right after lunch she boluses, but she doesn't come down enough into target 2 hours afterwards. So I'm gonna change her insulin to carb ratio a little bit more during that period of time, and then when she comes home after school, it'll go back to the regular one. So I like to be able to do that. I find it really, really helpful. Whereas if you're doing individual, you can change your insulin to carb, but you have to constantly remember to do it for that period of the time where it's already preset into the PDM, or the little, it looks like a little tiny phone that she boluses from. So that was really, really good, that we liked. She has had no real problems. Like, of course there's sometimes problems with like sites, and she takes it off and her skin's red, but we have used a Flovent. It's almost like an asthma Ventolin kind of spray, and it's a steroid that you just spray on your stomach, and that completely took away any rashes or tenderness of the skin, which is great. So that was huge. Occasionally, just like any technical equipment, it fails. And we have had, like, I will notice sometimes if her blood sugars are sugar, I don't know why I'm going up so high, I can't come down. And so I'm always like, is your pod leaking? And it's a very distinct smell, insulin. So you can tell, either she'll just take her finger and she'll rub the adhesive around it and smell her finger if it's leaking or not. And then it's just a matter of a quick change. So that is one of the downfalls of of a pump, it can fail on you. So because you're with the Dexcom, you're not necessarily finger pricking, and you can do a pretty good job of keeping an eye on that. As far as like, I think everyone's kind of covered a lot of the pros of an Omnipod or a tandem. We really want Omnipod was supposed to have the loop, the closed loop already last year. And it would have been so beneficial to my daughter when she was traveling this last summer and this summer to help control some of those highs, just being, whether it being hot weather, swimming, like all the things that are unpredictable. It would have come in really, really handy. But so I would switch to the tandem, and so would she, but she really doesn't want the tubes because she's so used to not having them. So we're just holding tight until Omnipod comes out with it. It is out in the States, and I hear amazing things about it. So we're just going to hold tight. And they also told us to stick with the G6 until we get the loop system and not to go to the 7 on the Dexcom. I really think it's what you feel is comfortable for you. I know just the constant having to do the needles and stuff like that was not for her. She's a tough little cookie. When she first got diagnosed, I swear I was pricking her finger probably like 15, 20 times a day. So, and obviously it went down, but, the old Dexcom, I would tell her never to look because the needle was like so thick that had to inject the thing in for the Dexcom. And now it's like a breeze. It's like nothing. You push a button and it flicks in. So I'm grateful that she never had like a huge problem with needles. So she does very, very well. But I do enjoy being able to program the PDM in certain situations. And like if she's exercising, you can back it off. You can make a program for that. Or if she has her period, you can make a program for that. I don't use all the other things. And what I really do like about it is if she has, say, like a piece of pizza, she can bolus like 60% up front right away, and then the 40% will come, and you get to decide whether you want it an hour after, 2 hours after. So you're eliminating some of that, all those horrible foods, but so delicious foods that make you like, level out and then you swing back up again. So the rebound effect is definitely less with being able to do that. And I guess, again, you could do it with a needle or injection, but you have to remember to do the backup after that. So, and then also what Jared said with the eating, if you finish your meal and you feel like dessert and you didn't want it before, then you just bolus for it and it all calculates it out. So it does make it easier that way. You don't have to wait the 2 hours and worry about stacking insulin and stuff like that. I don't know where she got her confidence from. So I'm blessed that she has never hidden her technology or worried about her technology. She started wearing it, like, I think when she was 8, she'd wear it on her arm. People would say, "What's that?" I remember one time, my husband and I are very protective. We were going out for lunch and she had just a short sleeve shirt on so you could see it. And some guy goes, "Hey, like, what's that?" And we were like, well, like, first of all, it's none of your business, but it's her telephone, like, so you just learned how to let it go off. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we taught her, that diabetes, they say it's obviously it's a disease and it's a disability. But for us in our house, we don't treat it as a disability. We treat it as type 1 diabetes, and thank goodness it's manageable. And now you have to decide what you're going to do to make your life better. And they say that if she's eating better at a younger age than some of her other friends because she's kind of has to, but now she's reaping the benefits of doing that. So I think it can make you stronger, just like anyone with any disability or disease or anything like that. It depends how you want to handle it. And we didn't want to handle it as something bad in our house. It can only make us stronger.
Jared, I saw your hand go up. I don't know if there's something you wanted to respond to before we move
Yeah,
over
just
to Carol.
yeah, it was just around the self-consciousness. One of the other reasons Joel wanted a pump was when you're at high school and you want to eat, you have to give yourself an injection. And your choice is you can run off to like some special room where you can do the injection in the cafeteria. And so, not wanting to run away, he would do it in the cafeteria. And some of the other kids kind of noticed and they're like, ha, you're on drugs, ha. I mean, which is true, you are on a drug, kind of, sort of, but not in a good way. And so, having the pump means you can just kind of hide some of that stuff. At the very worst, you're taking out a screen and mucking about with it, but you're not like, you don't have to pull your pants down to like give yourself a thigh injection or anything like that. It's it is actually a lot more discreet.
Thanks for that, and thank you, Andrea. And just a huge thank you to all of our panelists for joining us and for sharing your varied stories and your experiences. So many different experiences, but overlapping themes. And the theme is this is what worked, this is what felt right, this is what helped, this is what they wanted, this is what I wanted. Uh, and adapting and pivoting as circumstances and needs change. And so I that certainly came across to me as you were all sharing your stories, and I hope that that came across to our attendees and our audience as well. Just to get this on the recording, there was a question in chat earlier that was addressed about the concept of pre-bolusing and if that has to be done on pumps the same as it does on MDI. And pre-bolusing is, as it was answered in the chat, just the best practice for insulin delivery. Depending on what kind of insulin you have, they all have different release times in your body. Some are 15 minutes prior, some are 10 minutes prior, some, like the FIASP, are much more generous with that, with the need to pre-bolus, but definitely consulting with your healthcare team about whatever insulin you're on and how that releases, and then just timing backwards from when you're planning to eat. Today is sort of a standalone workshop that we're doing about tech specifically, but we have a developed four-part series. PEP Talk stands for Parents Educating Parents, for those who need to know. But the four-part rotating series is much more of a drop-in collective peer support group where each week is themed either on communication or mindset or self-care and family care. And we rotate through those themes, but the conversations we have are rather evergreen when it comes to uh, while everybody's doing, are you doing a good job? Yes, you're doing a good job, and listening to the feedback from the wonderful community we have here. So I encourage everyone watching to go and check out the next Pep Talks. And with that plug out of the way, another huge thank you to everybody.